Hey everybody, welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Derrick.
And I'm Cody.
And this is going to be our first episode for Survivor 41. And we are both super pumped about it. We've actually been talking a while off camera, which sucks because we had a lot of good things to say. Yeah. But we were so excited about it. And I've been watching ever since I auditioned for Big Brother. I watched Tony's first season. Okay. And so I've been watching religiously since, but you haven't, right?
So I started watching Survivor way back. Boston Rob's first season when he met his wife, and who was the other, the curly guy with the raspy voice, name starts with an R. Rupert. I watched Survivor way back then when I was very, very young. And then my dad has watched all these shows religiously. So he's just like a big reality TV head. And
you said that in the house when we first met. You're like, he's the guy.
Yeah. And so I would obviously be watching when I was at home. Survivor was one that stuck a little bit and I was watching a lot more of because of, being on once a week. It wasn't that difficult. And if I missed a week, I'd be like, okay, well, what happened last week? And so it was easy to catch yourself up. So I watched way back. Then I feel like I went on Big Brother, and that's when I kind of like fell off a little bit. Wasn't really watching much. Watched a little bit when Caleb was on. I didn't really keep up with it too much. But so I'm not a religious viewer, but obviously I have a very good understanding of the game and of like kind of what goes into being a good player, winning, all that fun stuff.
But a lot of Big Brother and Survivor is similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of strategy, social play, winning competitions.
Right.
The biggest difference is you can win immunities back to back to back to back. You can win these challenges, or you can win when it gets to further in the game. The individual immunities are like HOHs, but you can win out all the way to the end. But I wanted to ask you because you've now played Big Brother twice, but like you said, you haven't really watched since your first time playing. So any initial thoughts? We were talking again. I'm bringing up stuff that you kind of already mentioned before, but any initial thoughts when you first watched it? Because again, you've been out of it. You've been fully focused on Big Brother.
Right.
What were some of the feelings, some of the thoughts about Survivor? Because I'm sure you were doing a lot of comparisons.
I got to tell you, I felt great. It was a breath of fresh air. I was like, not Big Brother, because everybody's been coming, we don't watch the feeds, but I read up on the feed. So like, I'm like very surrounded by Big Brother. And Survivor, it's not like that. There's no live feeds, thankfully, because then we don't have feedsters who are like, you're not paying attention. You don't really know. And so it's fun to like watch this and enjoy. I cannot tell you how much I thoroughly enjoyed this first episode, and it brought back old memories. And I'll tell you what my favorite thing about Survivor is, and it's how Jeff can literally strip you down to butt naked in the tribal council. He goes, so that face that you just made there kind of seems like you don't believe what they're saying. Tell me about it. And they're like, oh, okay. It's like my favorite. I love how
even Abraham. Remember Abraham?
Yeah.
He's like, what I got there was basically he said a lot of nothing.
I'm like,
wow, Jeff, call him out.
Dude, and you know what the other thing is like, can you imagine like you're doing these competitions in Big Brother and Julie's literally sitting there and hounding you as you're not doing the comp, right? Like, did you see tonight when the tribe was struggling, he goes, I think it was like Luvu is up there having a horrible, horrible time. And they're like, thanks, Jeff. Like in the middle of struggling, trying to fight for immunity, he's just berating them. And I'm just like, dude, this guy is ruthless. So that's like my first initial. My last thing is, and then I want to hear what you would say. I could never, ever play this show.
No, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, listen, the show's great. I like it that it's different enough to not feel like the same as Big Brother.
Yeah.
There's a reason there's 41 seasons. There's a reason why it's always one of the most highest rated shows ever. And it's like, it's the staple. Like we grew up on it. I remember Richard Hatch on the first season. And it's still as good today as it was, when it started over 20 years ago. So I love the show. And I will say Jeff definitely makes a show. I love Julie Chen, super biased. I couldn't see anybody else hosting Big Brother. But if you put a gun to my head and said, who's the best reality TV host? I got to go with Jeff because he's so smooth and he's so organic. And like, you ever meet, like, if there's someone who's perfect for Survivor to host that show,
bro,
could you imagine someone else hosting Survivor?
I mean, that's an impossible. Obviously not. He's hosted it for 41 seasons. And so
yeah,
he
is the man. He's super smart, super witty, super quick. Cause he's not looking at a teleprompter with nobody around. He's engaging and interacting with these competitors.
Mhm.
And sometimes when he asks questions or whatever, like even tonight he got thrown a curveball, or we'll get into it, but he got thrown things where these players are allowed to speak up and answer any way they like, or disagree, and he has to be able to think on his feet.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, I'm sure they have to do some stuff, but
Right.
it's not like he's going to say, "Oh, wind it back again. Hey, contestant Danny, ask me that question again." I'm sure it's like one
There's
take,
no
one
way,
go.
right? I would like, you know what I'd love to have with this, because Big Brother, I like just you and me. I would love to have some Survivor people on to like just get their insights as to like what goes on at the tribal council. Are they sitting there for a while? Are they doing multiple takes, or is it really as organic as it looks?
Oh, that's easy. Well, first off, we got a shoe-in in Caleb.
Beast mode.
Shoe-in. He'll do it tomorrow for us. He's a brother of ours. He'll do it tomorrow. But then we have people that I'm good friends with. Mike Holloway, good friends with him. One of my favorite players of all time. And then my boy, Jeremy Collins, lives right up the road from me, basically. He's one. And I have had conversations with Tony before, the only two-time winner, I believe.
How you doing?
Yes.
How you doing?
Well, wait, did Sandra win twice?
You're just firing. I got nothing for you. You're on your own on this one.
I don't think she's won twice. I gotta check it now. We're gonna have to. You can keep fill us in. Start us off with the show. Start us off at the top of the show. I'm gonna look it up now.
Sandra won twice.
Yeah, she did. Okay.
Yeah.
So she could have been the first 3-time winner, but Tony won the first season where it was all winners, and he won a second time. So it was like the all-stars of all winner season, and he won. He got the W. But no, it's a great show. We can definitely have former Survivor contestants that were on the show come on and do an episode here and there with us to get their expert opinion on the show. I think that would be smart, because we haven't played the show before. So there are things that we're not privy to.
Right. So the show kicks off. They have this intense intro with Jeff, which I was like captivated from the start to the finish of this show. It was just a really incredible premiere episode. And Jeff is pretty much talking about all these twists that he's going to be throwing their way, some twists that we've seen in the past, hidden immunity idols, some different things that I think Survivor does a phenomenal job of this every year, that they just throw new things in. Like every time
they're always being
there's
innovative.
always something new. And so Jeff does this intro, and then we see the 3 boats coming. 6 people on each tribe. I'm going to let you take the 3 tribes away. So hit us with the first tribe.
Yeah, because you just don't want to have to say
I'm going to butcher them, and I know I will.
Well, first off, I think the biggest announcement was the fact that they're reducing the season by 10 days.
Yeah.
So it's usually 39 days. All you guys that are huge fans, the show has always, as far as I know, been 39 days. That's like their, that's the claim to fame, right? 39 days. All this, they always said in the speech. Now this year, it's only 29 days. But to offset the fact, because you might be like, oh, 29 days, that's a lot easy. 10 days less, that's a lot easier. However, they only get a machete, they get a flint, they get a pot, no rice. No rice. Now, I know on past seasons, you always get a bag of rice for the season that you have to kind of like portion out and break down. Nothing. You're on your own. So I thought that was really interesting. But back to the tribe names, and I'll try not to butcher these. We have Luvu, Ua, and Yesa. Those are the ones I hope I'm pronouncing. Yesa. So those are the tribe names. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing those right. And real quickly, Luvu, we have Danny, Deshaun, Erica, Heather, Nasir, Sydney. On Ua, we have Brad, Jeannie, JD, Ricard, Sarah, and Sean. And on Yesa, we have David, Eric, Evie, Liana, Tiffany, and Xander. So
we're
going to refer back
favorite
to these.
One. Favorite tribe. Go.
Oh, favorite tribe?
Yeah.
Favorite tribe.
Favorite
I'm going to go with I like Luva so far. They were the most entertaining for the episode for me. Luva was good. They had their ups and downs. They finished the week strong. Yes. We don't want to spoil too much, but I thought that was good, and I really like Danny. I thought he's probably someone who doesn't know the game that well, but enough where he could be a real force to be reckoned with. But yeah, so they get off the boat. They start off the first mission. They're on the boat. They got to pack the boat, all this stuff, and to get down to the brass tacks of it, Luvu does horrible. Right? They absolutely bombed it.
No. That was Yesa. Yesa didn't even find all their paddles.
Yesa was the one. I thought Luvu was the one that bombed the first part of it.
Luvu,
no, you're right. It was Yesa. It was Yesa because Liana went back and found the ore.
Yeah, Liana.
You're right.
And Luvu was paddling.
Screwing them up already.
Luvu
that didn't take
was
long.
paddling with their back anchor still down in the water.
Yes. Jeff's like, hey, you guys aren't going anywhere. You guys aren't moving. So Uo won. Uo wins. And, it wasn't even close, by the way, because obviously Luva was still anchored down. Yasa never got off the boat. So Uo wins. And what was the penalty for that? So Uo wins, but then there's a penalty for the two other teams, right?
So what happened is that Uo wins, so they get the flint right away. Now, Luvu and Yesa have to still do another challenge back at their camp in order to earn their flint to create fire. And the two competitions were the whole tribe together can look at this triangle and guess one time how many triangles are within this puzzle. Or they have 4 hours to bring back, like, I don't know if they specifically said how many gallons of water, but it was 2 big like those metal trash cans, and they had to fill them up completely with water in a 4-hour period, and that's how they would get their flint. And the tribe had the choice: pick the puzzle, one guess, or do this, water challenge and go to this one point and have to walk down to fill the water up.
Yeah, and so they end up doing that really quick because, again, it's a 2-hour episode. We don't want to be talking all night, but it was interesting that David from Yesa, neurosurgeon, not neurologist. He's a neurosurgeon. He brilliant, obviously. He made a great point where he's like, I don't want to go do this water because I'm going to distance myself from the remaining tribe. And everyone's gaming so hard so quickly, which is unlike Big Brother, right? Like people usually settle in for a little bit. It's like a popularity contest. Not in Survivor. Like hour 1, it's like, yo, Alliance, what are we doing here? So, he was like, I don't want to do this water challenge because that's the dumb move. Like, you're separating yourself from everyone, but he gets roped in with Xander, where Xander's like, you want to do it with me? You want to do this? And
we can do this.
He was like, yeah, I'm a little concerned. And they're like, no, you got this. And he's like, okay, I got it. So he does it. David and Xander do it for Yesa, and Danny and Deshaun do it for Luvu, right?
Yeah.
What did you think about the whole point when they're doing it? I thought Danny and Deshaun had a great idea to look for idols, turn a negative into a positive, but Nasir comes down to the beach, catches them. What did you think of that whole segment?
So to be honest, the Danny and Deshaun thing where they chose to do that, I was like, ooh, that's a little risky, because the first thing that I thought was, what if somebody walks down on the beach? That was my first thought. And then all of a sudden Nasir does it, and he doesn't like that. So Nasir doesn't like that one bit. And he decides to go back to the rest of the Luvu tribe that he, is there with. And it's Erica, Heather, and Sydney. And I think he was only talking with Erica and Sydney. And he pretty much tattletales. And this is what you get. Snitches get stitches, because it blew up in his face. And not to get ahead of it, but Nasir goes and tells, Erica and Sydney that, Danny and Deshaun look like they were searching for something. They must be searching for the idol. And I don't like that. So we should make a Final Four right now, and we should send them home if we have the choice too. And I don't know. My biggest thing with that whole thing is I know you have to game, right? You have to game right off the bat. But I always feel like this happens to people on all these reality shows. Well, not really all these reality shows, more so Survivor and Big Brother, where they just talk their foot into their mouth and then create a target on themselves. And that's what I felt like Nasir was doing. Like, he didn't even I didn't feel like he had a great rapport with the girls. It almost felt like he was just like tattletaling.
Like venting.
Like, yeah, just being like, hey, I saw them doing this and I don't think that's right. Where it's like, if you don't have a rapport with somebody, they may, Danny and Deshaun ended up doing all this work. They ended up getting the job done. They got their flint. Now they come back to the island, build rapports, and now it made Sydney be like, you know what, I'm gonna tell them what Nasir said.
Yeah, I wrote it on my notes. It's like, it's Big Brother too, because you can't trust people in the first hour.
No.
You don't know what people's agendas are. And like you said, both teams accomplished the mission. I thought they got a machete. They got a flint.
I thought it was for the flint. Maybe it was a machete.
I thought it was for the machete. I thought one of them said, hey, we got a machete.
I think they got them both.
Maybe they got them both. It would make sense because you can use the machete to cut up the flint.
They got them both. They got them both.
What are you going to do with just a flint?
Right. Nothing.
You can't scrape off the top of it. No. Scrape off the top of it. But they get both. And Sydney, I think, reads the room really quickly and says, Nasir's going to be a problem. He's all over the place. He's already getting nervous. I actually think I might want to work with the Danny and Deshaun over him. So right away, she goes to Deshaun and fills him in because I think she's like, I feel more comfortable with these guys. They seem like they're going to be better competitors, better players. So Nasir gets ratted out within like the first 2 hours of being on the island. So he's already on Deshaun's radar, and I'm sure on Danny's as well, and also on Sydney. So if they had lost this week, if they had gone to tribunal, he would have probably been gone, to be honest, because he would have been blindsided. But they win the challenge. But that was a great sign of like, oh yeah, you're venting to someone. When you go on these shows, don't trust anyone because they're all out there for the same piece of cheese. So they're all going to come after you. But I thought that was interesting to see that happen that quick. The show, there's some fluff in there. There's some segments in there. But then the show transitions to this decision, right, where the 3 tribes have to send one player on this boat to make a personal decision. And for the most part, I think they drew rocks. They did some different things on Danny's team, on Luvu. Danny just said eventually I'll go. But all 3 go. And the people that go are Danny, Xander, and JD. What do you think of that whole segment? Walk us through it.
So I liked how Yesa came to the conclusion. They ultimately all decided like we feel comfortable with Xander. We all kind of like Xander. We all have a fair amount of trust for Xander. So they sent Xander out there.
Yep.
I like that because then it doesn't create that, that paranoia.
Right.
Excuse me.
It was a group decision.
Yeah. Danny goes. Danny had just done the competition to earn. Okay. You guys, I just did this for us. You guys are all kind of like trying to play rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to step up and do it. Ultimately being like reading the room and seeing they don't look like they want to do this. They don't look like they want to do this. So I'm just going to step up.
Didn't want to do it.
So
because it goes back to that same premise, right? You don't want to leave your tribe because it gives them time to bond.
Exactly. And you don't want to be excluded. JD wants the full Survivor experience. Like he wanted to do the Flint. He wanted to create the fire the first time. He wanted to go on this. And I feel like there was a lot of JD's personality of just being like a super fan of the show and being on there and wanting to do all these things that ultimately hurt him a little bit.
Yes.
Like him, jumping up and wanting to do this. It kind of made Ricard, Ricard doesn't trust him, doesn't buy what he's saying. And I don't really understand. I think JD is an extremely genuine person.
I like JD a lot. Would you think of what he said based on everything you're saying right now, where he just met Danny, he just meets Xander, they're going on this trail, and it's okay to like be honest and like build a rapport, but do you think it's smart to be like, I was a 2-time state champion running?
The reason why...
What do you think of that? Do you think it hurts him? I think that's not a good thing to say.
Yeah, I think that because of the 2 people that he was around, like, it's like Xander's this fit guy, Danny's this fit guy. Like if they go back and go, hey, that JD told us he's a 2-time state championship track runner, they'll be like this. Well, look at you guys.
Have you seen
guys,
you?
Yeah. Like, have you looked at me? I know there's no mirrors here, but you both look like you'll be just fine. And so I think that's why he felt comfortable enough to open up. I think he just,
right.
But I think JD's issue is going to be word vomit. I think he's just going to, he's going to get in a situation. I think that he's like, he'll probably trust everybody that he has a conversation with until they like try to backstab him, which we saw a little bit of that tonight. And I think JD is going to be the guy that kind of like just has word vomit because maybe in a situation he's really excited or something happens.
He is going to be great television though.
Yeah. Well,
even at the tribunal tonight, like you could just tell he's like ready to make good TV. Yeah. He's like, I will blow things up right now. We can do it.
Let's vote right now. Jeff is like, whoa. I'm hosting the show.
Easy, buddy.
Relax.
Easy, buddy. Yeah. So they're on that island and they get to know each other, and then they have this decision to make where they can either save their vote or risk their vote. And if you all 3 of you get it right, you all get to do it.
If you all save your vote.
Yeah. If one of you risk it and the other 2 don't, you get to keep the risk. It was a bunch.
It was.
I didn't follow it completely. I was just like, either way.
So what happens is if all 3 of them decide to save the vote, they all get their vote. If one of them decides to save their vote and the other 2 risk their vote, those 2 get an extra vote. If 2 decide to save their vote and 1 risks it, that 1 gets the extra vote. But if all of them risk their votes, now none of them have a vote. So essentially, Danny ends up saving his vote. JD ends up risking his vote, and Xander ends up risking his vote. So if Danny was a little bit selfish, they would have all like lost their vote there.
They all lost their vote. What'd you think of them being so transparent? Most of them were. I mean, they still lied about what they did there. But would you have came back to the tribe and told them like everything? I guess you would have to, right? Because if you ever get to emerge and someone from the other, you like a Xander or a Danny are still there, you have to. But like, would you believe them if they were like, oh, I had an opportunity to get an extra vote or just save my vote for the team?
I would have came back.
You're not going to believe
I would have came back. I would have told the whole story. I would have literally laid it out exactly how it was. I know what I would have done. I would have saved my vote. I would not have risked it. Because what was going through my head, like initially, right as I'm watching this, what's going through my head is, okay, if they risk their vote and they have 2 votes, I wonder if they're going to tell anybody. They all came back and didn't. And then my first thought was, okay, now when you use your vote, you're going to break trust with a ton of people. Unless they go and tell people, like somebody that they're close with, hey, listen, I actually risked my vote and I have 2 votes. So we're actually in a really good position because now I have 2 votes instead of 1, and I can use that whenever I want. But if they do just kind of like keep it to themselves and then just use it, it's going to break trust with a lot of people. So that's the part of it that makes me nervous, is when you choose to tell the whole story. So Xander and JD both told the story and then said, oh, I saved my vote. So now they have these votes in their pockets that are going to show up at a tribal council, and like everybody's going to be like, oh, okay, can't trust you, could have an idol. Now we're going to try. Now I'm not going to try to probably get you out. Like I'm not going to make you know about it. I'll probably just blindside you so that you don't have the chance to sneak one by us again.
Well, okay, so let me make sure I'm because JD specifically said, I decided to save my vote, which would have meant save your vote. Like you're not risking a vote. You're just getting your 1 vote.
I'm getting my 1 vote.
But they all don't believe him. They believe that he risked his vote, which, spoiler alert, they're right. And by risking it, he actually gained a vote. So is that what you're saying? Like they probably figured that much and figured he's got an extra vote now. We got to get rid of him.
I just know. So the reason why I think that happened, one, I think Ricard was planting seeds all over the place because he didn't trust JD.
Ricard did not like JD from the start.
Didn't trust him, didn't like him. And I think part of that reason is because like JD, if you notice when he's like talking and when he explained the story, they played it out pretty nicely. And he is all over the place when he's playing. He's like a lot of pauses, a lot of things that make somebody that's just sitting there listening be like just get it out, unless you're trying to hide something, unless you're thinking through how to create this next part of your story. Like just spit it out. Just tell us what you just went through an hour ago. That's why I think a lot of them all were like, oh, I don't know if I trust JD, because when he was telling the story, he was like bouncing all over the place. I was like, dude, just get the story out because you're going to make them not trust you. And then all of a sudden it cut to like Ricard being like, I don't trust a word that's coming out of his mouth. And I was like, yep, I saw that coming, because he wasn't telling the story very like transparently, like how Xander did. I thought Xander, and Danny explained it to a T.
They all believed him.
To a T.
They all believed him.
Because they bought it. He literally regurgitated exactly what he just went through. And if you regurgitate the whole thing of what you went through and then you say, oh yeah, I saved my vote easy. Like I don't want to risk it this early. Everybody's going to believe that. I
think it was Heather. Heather, like they did the DR with Heather. No, she's like, he just said too many details for it to be, to not get screwed up. What'd you think of Ricard? Just because there was a couple segments where not only in that moment where he's like, I haven't trusted him from, like, he's like very judgmental, kind of speaks out a lot. He was, and we'll get to it after the immunity challenge, but he's kind of like the vocal one who's like chattering around. Like my initial impression of Ricard is he's not going to last long, because I thought there was a chance he could go tonight, and we're going to get there. I'm probably getting ahead of it, but any initial thoughts on him? Because he definitely didn't rub me the wrong way, where I was like, this guy is like trying way too hard, too fast, and loose lip sync ships. That's where I saw him. Yeah. But I mean, I guess there was a few people doing it. Maybe it was just I wasn't a fan of him. Yeah, there was a lot of people that were playing really hard, really fast. You saw Sean do it. You saw Sydney. There was a lot of people that were doing it. The thing I didn't like about Ricard was how it was like super judgy. How he was like, I don't trust JD, and like, I mean, obviously we're not there, right? We're not on the island. We're not seeing everything. But JD just seemed like a kid in a candy store, super excited to be on Survivor. And Ricard just seems like the guy that's like, no, you're not allowed to, you can't have that. You can't have that. You can't have that. It was like I was like, what did JD do that you don't trust him immediately? Yeah.
He was just like,
well,
really
JD's
nice.
gonna come after him. JD's gonna know
He should
now
now.
that.
I mean, is he though?
He knows Ricard was behind that.
Yeah, you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's gonna get back to him. Him and Sean are having a conversation right after that tribunal, probably because he's like, "Hey, you're gonna get me out," and he's got to repair some stuff with Brad. But not to get too far off track.
Yeah.
After the decision, they come back. They tell him what they did. They don't tell us how they voted at that point. They make us wait.
Right.
But then we get into the immunity challenge.
Yep.
And all three teams. For those of you who are Big Brother fans, maybe haven't seen Survivor, basically the way it works is these three teams are competing against each other. The bottom two teams go to tribunal. They're gonna, each tribe will have to vote someone out that evening if you don't come in first place. So what did you think of the challenge tonight? I mean, these challenges always look super hard.
The Survivor does it incredible every single season. That was the one thing I would be like, their challenge as a combination of everything, some physicality, some mental, endurance, like
all of it.
You have to have every aspect, like swimming, even the ones where I remember challenges where they got to like toss a ball like on a slingshot into a net or so. They just figure it out in a way where it's like, paddle a boat out, swim down, get your puzzle pieces, bring it up, put it in back. These challenges are so incredible. That's probably like my favorite part of the show. Just being like, all right, what's the immunity challenge going to be? Because these challenges are incredible. It was such an intense challenge. And it leaves so much room for the error that we saw happen. Remember Luvu? And they had a bag fall off. And you're just, this is the kind of things that happen when it's frantic and you got to carry all these bags. And there's an endurance aspect. And there's part 1, then there's part 2, then there's part 3. And so I thought the challenge was intense.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not only everything you just mentioned as far as agility, strength, mental fortitude. It's also communication.
Yes.
And being able to work together, leadership, because ultimately, regardless of how good you may be, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So they have to communicate with each other because their safety, their life is in the hands of their teammates and the hands of the rest of their tribe. So really fascinating stuff. As you mentioned, Luvu has a big problem in the beginning, but they make up for it. They catch up. They end up finishing first. They win the immunity challenge.
I didn't even realize it was like I blinked and Luvu went from the bottom to like bringing their sled up as, Ua and I'm just going to call them the yellow tribe, the green tribe, and the blue tribe.
You do whatever makes you feel better.
The yellow tribe and the green tribe are just getting up there while the blue tribe is just getting it. And I just feel like inauthentic. It's Luvu. Yesa gets up there at the same time. It was like insane. And so now.
But puzzles, that's what's great about Survivor, man. You could be in the lead, but if you can't do puzzles.
Bro, did you see the size of that puzzle too?
Monstrous.
That was huge.
And it's crazy to me. Like, I'm assuming the way they edit, like this is probably only when this immunity challenge happens, it's got to be either the second or third day they're on the island. It's got to be super soon because they have so many people to evict. So here we go, Big Brother terms. There's so many people to vote out.
The tribe has spoken.
The tribe has spoken. Even with that said, it amazes me at what the high level of performance these individuals can do, considering they're not really sleeping, they're not eating. And to be able to perform these types of challenges under that condition, I don't wish it on anyone. I would love to do it. I would love to do Survivor for like a week.
A week. Give me a week. And honestly, give me like an air mattress because I don't know, man. Like,
give me a weekend an air mattress.
My brother, like, this was like a funny thing growing up. Like, my brother was always like the dude that would fall asleep face down on the deck. Like, a deck, hard wood.
Yep.
Just like kid could fall asleep anywhere. So like I could see Paulie just going out there and just being like, oh, dude, I'm in the sand. Fuck it. I'm going to go to sleep. But I was like not that guy. Like I was on the couch. I was like, oh man, I can't get comfortable. I need to go up into bed or I need to be on the couch. Bugs don't too. Even, bro, when they showed the snake come up, I was like, I'm done. Like I would never ever be searching for the hidden immunity idol because I'd be like, you got me wandering off unless there's somebody following me like 3 feet back just in case I get like a snake's dangling, just gets me in the neck. I'm like,
you want me to reach into that dark tree trunk? Nah, ain't happening, Captain. Sorry.
You reach in first.
The cameraman, you're like, hey, cameraman, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Something in there?
I don't know. That's why I don't think I could do it. But to your point, these cast members are like barely sleeping, eating up alive all night, malnutrition, and they are competing in like those sandbags. I don't know how heavy they were, but like they looked at minimum 25 pounds, right? At a minimum of 25 pounds. And like they're carrying them back and forth. Then they got to push it. Then they got to carry the thing up. And then it's like doing the puzzle and like seeing other teams while you have Jeff kind of like hounding you and just ripping into you as your team's doing bad. I'm like, that's not for me, man. That's not for me.
I'll pass.
That's not
I'll
for
pass.
me.
But I do like watching.
Oh, I love it.
I do like watching.
This is going to be
I love
great.
sitting there on my couch with my cookies and chips.
Yeah.
And my comfortable couch with my slippers on.
That's a good. When you're watching these shows, right? Like, what's your go-to? What are you snacking on? Because I know mine. What do you, when you're watching these shows, you got Survivor on, you got Big Brother on. What are we snacking on?
Well, I mean, it depends. I'm a late eater. So for a show like this, you know, I mean, I tonight it was, for anyone's on YouTube, it was wasabi peas.
Okay. Shout out to wasabi
tonight,
peas.
But that's not the normal. Usually it's Oreo cookies, chocolate chip cookie. I mean, I don't discriminate against cookies. Any cookie can get it. But sometimes because of how late these shows come on, and my parents out there will know this with kids, you're feeding them first, you're getting them in the shower, you're doing homework. So a lot of the times, you know, when these shows come on, I put them in bed to get their half hour of television till 8:30. And I'm usually in here watching Big Brother or watching now Survivor to get ready for the show. So I'm having dinner while I'm in here. Yeah. You know, that's the case a lot too. You don't have that problem because you don't have kids.
Well, the problem with me is my schedule is a nightmare. So like I'm either coming home from training and it's like, and I'll jump on stream and then the show's coming on. So like me, I'm eating right in front of the TV. Yeah. I'm not eating while I'm in here. But if I'm not eating, my go-to snack, guys, I need you to smash just a fire emoji in the comments if you guys are just crushing down Cheez-Its, because I will put down a box.
Be more specific. Which ones are you talking about?
I'm talking about the white cheddar, so that my fingertips have that nice little cheese residue on them. So I'm just right afterwards.
Dude, COVID's killing us. I mean, you're still hitting the gym. I got to get back in there. I've gained about 10 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's but that's it's tough. And guys, let us know down below. What do you got? What's your go-to snack when you guys are out watching these shows? Because if you're just not snacking on something while you're watching these shows, even if it's healthy, you're like
missing out.
Carrots and hummus, something like that, you're just missing out. It's just part of the experience. But back to back to our regularly scheduled. Damn it! What's
regularly scheduled
programming, people? So Luvu comes back and wins the competition.
Right, really impressive. Good job by them. Again, teamwork. Good mental job with the puzzle. Who was the main person on the puzzle? Who was it? I can't even remember.
I think Erica was doing it.
Erica was on it. Okay. I can't remember
know who the other one was.
But I mean, it was a great job by then. And it just goes, it was Survivor, especially, you're never really out of it until it's over, because you can have a team physically dominate 75% of the competition. And if they're a strong physical team, but not as strong mentally, you can have a mental team that starts off slow, but then crushes you in the puzzle, which is what happened.
Oh, it happened
tonight, which is funny because you had big old Danny, who's a NFL football player, but you do have a lot of intelligent people on the team. It does seem like, and I personally, judging a book by its cover, I didn't see Luvu winning this one. I thought it was going to probably be like Yesa. I thought that they had the people to do it with the neurosurgeon on there. I thought David's got this, but you know what? This is what happens when you judge too quickly.
Well, I think it's also very important to note that Ua was in the lead and leading the competition, and then Sarah is like freaking out because they got to a point where they hit a wall and they can't figure out what's going on. And now Sarah starts shaking down the bags, and there was a puzzle piece missing from the table, and it was still in the bag.
Right. She dropped the ball because they would have had the puzzle. They might have won.
Right.
But they were literally missing a piece of the puzzle, and it was her. And they all I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is going to be a big part of our next part, that segment that we're going to talk about here, which is you have Luvu win. Now the game starts. Now that Ua and Yesa know they're going to tribunal that night, and they're going to have to vote someone out. So you only have 6 people. You essentially need at least, depending on how it goes, if it's going to be one versus the other, you need 4 votes for one person. If there's going to be a couple random votes in there, then you need less. But the majority is 4. And so, Uluvu's safe for the night. Ua starts off, we were laughing about it before we started. Ricard is kind of leading the charge. he really wants to get JD out. And initially, it looks like Sarah and Sean are on board with that. Jeannie, she kind of was playing the fence the whole time, which is what you need to do. They had one small segment with her and Sean. She's like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't want to vote out anybody. And then Sean's like, but you got to vote out someone. And Jeannie's like, yeah, but you got to vote out someone. But she never said
saying a lot of things without saying
nothing.
Yeah.
But Sarah and Sean are pushing for JD to go, and Sarah especially, because Sarah knows she's kind of the reason they lost this week's immunity challenge. So she knows she's on the block. But there's this interesting segment, which I was dying from. Because you got Ricard and you got Sarah and Sean, and they kind of corner Brad. Brad's walking down the water, like by the
He's
water.
Like, Ricard does a classic. Did you see the line? That's a classic line. Just the guy we're looking for. Come here.
Just the guy we're looking. That's always what they say.
That's
even
a
though they're probably
classic
saying,
line.
yeah. We were just looking for you. No, come right over. And Brad's like, oh, crap, what did I walk into?
Yeah.
And kudos to him. You know, they're like, we think we got to get JD out this week. You good with that? You good with that? And he's like, I don't know. And Ricard's like, just speak your mind, man. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to speak my mind. As he's standing in between Sarah and Sean, he looks at both and goes, I mean, I got to say Sarah and Sean probably on the block this week. And they're like, what? We said be honest, not that honest, Brad.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, was being honest with you?
Open forum, right?
One of you two are going to go home this week, my opinion. And it's like, whoa, no. Too honest, Brad. So that was a really bad move. And it does come back to haunt him a little bit later. Not terribly, but still bad.
Yeah.
What did you think of the scrambling in the Yesa tribe?
In the Yesa tribe or the Ua tribe.
Basically it was Tiffany. Tiffany was on the block. She was on the chopping block. She was scrambling.
Yeah. So again, the problem with this is like you want to build relationships, right? You want to build rapport with people so that when you talk, they kind of take it in and are like digesting it and like, well, am I going to go back and forth with you or am I going to take your information and bring it somewhere else? And I felt like,
Tiffany?
No, he ended up going home. Abraham. Yep. Eric Abraham. So Abraham ends up going home tonight because from the start, he was trying to plant seeds, right, about Tiffany. She was the first one in the water. She wasn't helping us look on the boat. I don't view her as a strong competitor. And that doesn't always work, right? That doesn't always work. And the reason why it doesn't always work, because unless you are on a team with a majority of strong competitors, you can really tick off somebody that maybe is like, am I going to be perceived as a strong competitor? And you saw that with Evie.
I think it's Evie.
Evie. And so you saw that because she kind of had this like light bulb come on and go, all right, yeah, she didn't necessarily disagree with his points, but she's playing the game to her credit, which I loved. She was like, well, what happens next from that? Say we don't win next week. Say it's another one winner, two people are sending somebody home type of season, which I could see that being the case because shorter period of time, they may be trying to get to the merge a little bit quicker. And so now she's saying like, well, this guy is just talking about weak competitors. And am I going to be the next weak competitor if we lose next time? Is he going to try to rally people to get me out? And so I thought Abraham kind of was putting his foot in his mouth. And I would have, if he wanted to have that conversation, you have to kind of like feel the room out a little bit more. And again, you don't really have a lot of time to, but I think he kind of put his foot in his mouth.
He definitely did. And I mean, you said it already. Abraham ends up going home. I think they got 4 votes against him.
Yeah.
He was pretty much, it was decisive. Their tribal was not that complicated. It was a little back and forth between Tiffany and Abraham, but it wasn't that crazy. But yeah, as you said, Abraham goes home completely blindsided. He went into that thinking, this game is, I got this. I know how to play this game. I'm good. I'm one of the stronger guys here. I can, that's going to be working for me. I'm safe this week. No way I'm going home.
Yeah.
Tiffany's going home. And that man was blindsided. And he was nice enough to say it right out. I got blindsided. Yeah. So Yasa is now going to be David, Evie, Liana, Tiffany, and Xander.
Yep.
Now the Ua tribal
that was a little different. A little bit
more hot. What was your takeaway from that one? Because that was very entertaining for night one.
Well, so you came into that one and you kind of knew because the Yasa tribe was like 2 people, and it was handled pretty much in secret. They weren't telling anything open. You know, on the Ua tribe, you had Brad speak his mind about Sarah and Sean, and then you had Ricard grabbing and trying to grab a bunch of people and go to JD about it, try to target JD,
bro.
and then set it in front of Brad, and Brad went and told JD in front of Sean, and so now JD is having conversations with Sean, and like it just was erupting at camp, and it overflowed into the tribal council, which was just. I mean, JD decided
first night, people getting up and going and whispering. And I mean, the first night.
So I turned to Christian. I'm like, the greatest thing about this show is that the people will get up and go and start whispering to other people, and then Jeff will call it out. It's like the craziest thing.
He's commentating.
Yeah, not expecting it to happen this time.
And if they don't notice it, Jeff is he's the GOAT, man. He literally goes, hey, is that making you nervous right there? What they're doing?
I loved it.
He's like to JD, he goes, well, let me cut you off real quick. Is that making you a little nervous?
Yeah.
In case you're not seeing it, which clearly you are, they're plotting right now. What is that making?
He goes, well, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to talk to you, but what's happening over here? And what I think the miscalculation was that Ricard and Sarah thought they had Sean, and I do not think that they did.
Yes, I agree.
They did not.
No, they definitely didn't.
And the point that I want to make to this whole thing, right, which I feel like people, I was saying this to you earlier, people in these situations where like emotions are heightened, like adrenaline is kind of going because you don't want to go home, right? So JD was like trying to target Sarah because he heard like that's who Brad said. And Brad, and then Sarah and Ricard were trying to go after JD. And what people weren't noticing was like who was the center of all of this drama? Like who was the person leading a lot of these conversations? And it was Ricard. And when your back is against the wall and you're like trying to go through these situations, I don't think Sarah should have been the one that went home. I think this tribe would have been stronger as a unit if Ricard went home in week 1.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I have a question for you, because from a big brother mindset, I agree. You don't want someone who's a shit starter in there because it's not good if you're developing an alliance and you want it to go far, because that person's going to stab you or someone else in the back. Like Ricard's going to stab everyone in the back for sure. So I agree with you on that, because I was thinking about it and I'm like, Ricard's definitely the shit starter. We were talking about it before the episode. He's definitely going to be the guy who's causing problems in there. However, because you're in these group challenges each week where your ability to get food is going to be predicated upon your team's ability to win comps. Even though Ricard's a kind of a gossiper, I mean, again, we saw very little of Sarah, but they saw enough to say Ricard is a better competitor than Sarah, and it's important to get her out. What do you think of that philosophy? Because this is where Survivor is different. It's not individual challenges. You're competing as a team. You're down one player. You can't avoid voting someone out. So wouldn't it make sense to vote out the person who you all, even if you don't like them, but all genuinely feel they're the weakest competitor out of the group? Or do you start going after the people who could cause problems for you from a strategic perspective?
So for me, Sarah doesn't, I didn't view Sarah as a weak competitor because...
Yeah, neither did I.
I thought like, all right, at the end of the day,
she made a mistake.
Sarah and Sean, they made a mistake. They didn't empty all the bags out. But
that's right.
That made her weaker than, is she weaker than Brad? Like, I don't know what Brad brings to the table. This guy is like really tall, like lanky. Like, I don't know if, like, she looked like she was doing just fine in that competition. And so
that's fair.
I don't know. For me, I feel like what tends to happen in Survivor is that if things aren't going well for you, if the people that are viewed more as athletic and athletes, I feel like in Survivor, they get targeted like right away. It's not like the strong athletes kind of go far. I mean, Survivor is, I'll tell you what, Survivor does an incredible job of. Their cast has been diverse for a very long time. They have multiple athletic people, not an overwhelming amount. It's so eclectic. Literally everything. And so if there is that really athletic person that is like going all in and their tribe starts losing, they'll be like, well, this person's going to be really difficult to beat when the merge happens. Let's just get him out now. I don't care if we keep losing. If we just continue to stick together, we'll have the numbers. And then when we go into the merge, we can maybe start fracturing some of the other things that are going on, and which is why the strategy in Survivor is great too. But
it really is.
I thought, Ricard is somebody that is going to fracture your group. And I didn't feel like Sarah
I agree.
was.
I think I agree. He's a gossiper. He's going to be talking. He would be someone I would target. And I wouldn't be surprised if next week if they don't win the immunity competition, they are going after him. It's going to be interesting. I mean, the season already looks great. 2 hours. Sometimes in these 2-hour episodes, you get a lot of fluff. You know, that's the one thing I would say about Big Brother, where sometimes I watch the episode during the week and I'm like, and I nobody loves Big Brother more than me. I promise you. And it's like, I can't, the episode is just like them cleaning carpets or doing these stupid like segments. And it's like Survivor's so fast. Usually it's only an hour. And even tonight when it's 2 hours, I just felt like it was, every time I turned away to grab a chip or something, I was missing something that I needed to know about for Tribal. So it really looks like it's going to be a fascinating season. I thought they did a great job editing it. They're, like I said, they're the best. Everyone kind of follows them.
I think you're 100% right in that statement. Every Survivor was the first one to do it. And then everybody else
that's
came.
it.
Everything, if you think about these reality competition shows, everything is stemmed after Survivor.
Nailed it. Yep. Big Brother, everything.
You know,
the
challenge, Amazing Race, everything has come from the aspect of this reality social game show. And so to their credit, it was awesome. I'll tell you what, there was one thing that I love, you know, it's like, I would say it every time when I would hear my dad watching Survivor, I'd be like, oh, Jeff, come on in, guys. And they're doing away with it this season now. You know, because, you know, Jeff kind of brought it up. He was like, you know what? What do you guys want to do? Do you guys want it? Does that offend anybody? Is that going to bring, you know, stirring anything up? And then Evie spoke up and was like, I think it's a staple of the show. I don't think I don't think it offends anybody. I agreed. I was with that. I was like, oh, you know, and I know there's going to be, you know, people out there that are like, oh, you don't understand, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it was a staple of the show. It wasn't out there. And I don't understand what's so offensive about, you know, saying guys, just referring to everybody. I feel like that's just like a normal thing. And then Ricard comes in and goes, you know what? And I think, you know, what you were saying, Jeff, just kind of like, he bounces all over the place. He's a chameleon. He was like, you know what? I didn't like it. And Jeff was like, I didn't either. And that's why I think Jeff brought it up, because he wanted to, you know, be a little PC, and, you know, it's kind of the world we live in. You could offend somebody with the way you sneeze nowadays. And so Jeff wanted to make sure that it was like something that was going in a direction of, are we molding into what society is kind of evolving into? So to Jeff's credit, he kind of switched it up, and now it's just going to be, come on in. And it just doesn't, it doesn't feel the same for me. It doesn't feel the same for me. Not to offend anybody out there. I mean, you're obviously going to be offended.
Well, you're going to, spoiler alert, you're going to.
Whatever. It's how I feel about it. And so you feel how you want, and I feel the same. I feel how I feel about my.
And you know, it's really simple. No matter what, you're going to offend someone.
Right.
You know, and tonight proved it, where it's like you have 18 people.
Yeah, 18.
18 people, 17 of them were fine with it. One person wasn't. And you have a choice to make. You can either say, you know what, the majority of people are fine with it. That's too bad for you. Or you can change something for that person so that everyone's not offended.
Right.
And that's what they decided to do. I have no problem with it. Yeah. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
But let's keep it focused on the game for a second. Let's not talk about the political implications and the social, the social, you know, status of the game and how it affects people on the outside. I don't know, just talking game level, because guess what, guys? The competitors on the game, they're not separating social issues from the game for the most part. Mm-hmm. We have had instances of it. You just saw it with the cookout on Big Brother. But anytime you make yourself stand out, anytime, people take notice. Yeah. Positively or negatively. So does that statement, like him coming out and saying that, I don't think anyone looks at him and goes, oh, I'm voting him out because he's offended by that. But it just makes them look at Ricard and go, wow, he really don't care. He will call anybody out. He'll even call out Jeff Probst from Survivor and be like, hey, listen, I got time to think about it. I don't like you. Yeah. And I don't like you, but I don't like that you're saying that. Even though it's been said for 20 years, it's gone. And I will say that we do live in a world where there are things that have been done for a very long time that now 99% of us agree is not correct. Right. It's almost like, you know, people smoking in restaurants. Forever, that was the norm. Yeah. Now, if you light up a cigarette in a restaurant, you're looked at like you have a third eye. So I definitely agree with the premise that just because it's always been done doesn't make it right. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. but I do think we should be selective on how many things we're doing, but with pronouns and stuff, Ricard was offended by it. And I think they made the right choice. If he's hearing them say, come in guys, and that's offensive to him, well, you want him to enjoy his experience. Right. And if it doesn't affect anybody else, say it. But I want to end it on this question. And this goes for you guys in the comments as well, because I really think it's an important question. And we want to branch out beyond Big Brother and Survivor, but this is a very important question. And I'm going to hit Cody with it first. And I want you guys to take a second, really think about it, and answer it as well. If Jeff Probst didn't give them the option tonight by saying, does come on in, guys, like if he just stuck with what has always been done, and it was really, do you think anyone including Ricard, would have been offended by it?
No.
That's my question for you. I want you guys to answer it as well. But I think sometimes when you give the options for even these minor things, it becomes an issue. And this isn't a knock on Ricard. I just think that once Ricard was given the option,
he
decided that it was, he had to say something.
Initially, he didn't say anything. And then that, and this is just human nature, right? Something happens and then we sit and we fester on it. And if it's something that bothers us, this happens with anything like, oh, I got an answer wrong. Oh, somebody said something to me and that really bothered me. And, it happens a lot. And, I think that if Jeff did not bring attention to it, Ricard would have never gone through that season and been like, you know what? I don't like that Jeff says, come on in, guys.
I think he's probably a fan of it like everyone else. But once given the choice, knowing it's going to make the show.
Because then you think about it and you think, well,
he had a responsibility to speak up.
Yes.
He had a responsibility. And I think that's part, in Ricard's defense, I think he felt like, as a gay man, he did have a responsibility to speak up for others who may be offended out there as well. So again,
I think he did say something also. He said something about his husband being transgender.
Yeah, his husband's transgender.
So I think he was festering a lot of different things and was like, you know what? I should have spoke out initially and I didn't. And now I don't want my husband to be mad at me, because I feel like I should speak out. So what I will say is, to his credit, good for him for speaking out and honestly having the courage to bounce back the second time and say, you know what, Jeff, I thought about what you asked us the other day. And you know what? I would prefer if it wasn't, if, just come on in, which, to be honest, and to me, it doesn't, I could care less either way.
I couldn't care less.
You know what I mean? Like, I could care less either way.
I didn't even notice that he said, come on in, guys.
Come on in. The only reason why I noticed he would always be like, come on in, guys, because it was literally something that I would just regurgitate. Survivor was just like, Jeff, come on in, guys. Like, I would always just say it. Like, obviously, I'm practicing it right now. Like, who am I talking to other than the window? But it's just, it was, I was like, oh, man, Jeff, I love when you say that. And it's like, but it's like, am I offended that they don't? No. And if it offends somebody that they do, then it is what it is. So,
that's a great point.
To Ricard.
Hey, great point what you just said, though. If it does offend you that they changed it, you are the problem as well. Because it shouldn't. It shouldn't offend you that Ricard said, I don't like guys. And you're like, oh, well, now I'm not going to watch Survivor. Because we're hitting both sides to it here. If it does offend you to the point where you're upset about it, then maybe it is an issue that you got to deal with, because you're nailing it where it shouldn't matter either way. But it was an interesting thing because I'm 37 years old. How old are you right now? 30?
Yeah.
We're older people. We're not we're not on canes, but we've been around. We get stuck in our ways as well. And it's just a different world we live in, and things like that. We're making a comment like guys 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, was like, it meant guys and gals.
I think about it all the time when I say
now it's
stuff.
Not.
Like if I say something like, what do you like? I've thought about that. I'm like, what do you guys think? I'm like, is that gonna like bother people? And I think that's part of it. Is just like kind of the awareness that I think the world has brought into a lot of different things. And awareness is a start and on so many different levels. Just making people aware, making people think like, oh man, I hope I don't bother somebody when I say that. And I think that's just part of, kind of growing as a human and just kind of growing together, because I feel like there's so much in this world that is dividing us constantly. And and so I bring this up kind of a little bit lighter because like, it doesn't bother me in the slightest bit. I was like, oh man, I really love when Jeff says, come on in, guys. But like, I'll joke about it because like, it is what it is.
Hey, we're covering the show. They made it 2 segments on the show.
Yeah.
So we want, they could have just stuck with him not saying it anymore and never had any of it in the show. but they put it in there. We're going to talk about it. Definitely weigh in on your comments down below. That's the only way we know what you guys think.
Yeah.
You may agree with us. Some of you may not. Some of you are going to clip this and only clip it to certain spots where it makes us look like assholes. Some of you are going to defend us. We love it.
And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post the whole video and go, you guys decide. And then we're just going to get clicks. So thank you.
Exactly. So definitely weigh in on it in the comment section. Anything else before we buttoned up? They had a little preview from next week.
No,
we're going to be doing this every week.
Yeah.
The episodes will be coming out on Thursdays. We do have a couple more episodes of Big Brother to wrap up. We're going to record that tomorrow night. But going forward, we will be releasing our Survivor episode every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And are we going to do the YouTube on the same day?
We're going to do the YouTube. They're going to come out Thursday. You guys will be able to either watch them or you'll be able to watch them, listen to them in the audio, listen to them in the car, and then watch it at home if it doesn't become too much for you guys. But,
and we'll get a Survivor person on here. I'll make that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not hard for us. I mean,
and
we did win a show called Big Brother. We should be okay.
Yeah. And there's going to be a fun segment that we add next week, and we're going to have the Exile of the Week and the Idol of the Week. We're not introducing it this week just because we went through a lot today. We went through the cast. There was a lot to go through in a 2-hour episode. So when we have the hour episode, we're going to go through the episode, and then we're going to give you our Exile of the Week, which each week it's going to change, or it could be the same person. It's the person that, and Derrick and I are going to have different ones. Instead of the hit list that we kind of like agreed upon, we're going to have different answers. It's going to be the Exile of the Week is going to be the person that we felt like just like outcasted themselves or just had the worst week. And then we're going to have the Idol of the Week and who we feel like had a really good week or maybe is playing the best game to that point.
At that point. Yeah. And it's tough. Survivor's different because we don't have any feeds or Twitter to look at. So it is a lot harder to gauge it. And they can edit the show to make it look like it's a certain way. And then really that person's not doing that well or vice versa. So it's hard, but we'll have fun with it. Before we go, you had something else to say.
I was literally going to say what you were about to say. So
what I'm about to say is who's your pick? That said, it's so hard to do, but who's your pick to win it all first night?
So I was going through this, right? And there was somebody that said something in the show that kind of stuck out to me. And I was like, ooh, that's a good position to be in. And that's why I'm picking this person. I also felt like this person is not going to be viewed as a huge competitor, but she's also going to be very well liked socially, and she's also intelligent. I'm saying she, so I'm kind of giving it away. I just eliminated, I think, half the cast. And it is going to be Sean. I think Sean is going to go to the end. I think socially she's going to be okay. She's not going to be viewed as a threat. And she said something tonight in the episode that I really liked that kind of stuck out to me, which is why, it could end up being somebody that they barely showed in the episode. And then, dumb me picks a person that, just they had in this episode. But Sean said something where it's like, I feel like I'm in a really good position where socially I'm doing really good. Competition, I may not be at the top because of how this week went, but I loved her awareness of what was going on, how I agree with her, how she was socially, even though she was maybe at the bottom for the competition, it really fell on Sean. And the only reason she felt that way is because of Brad. So I'm picking Sean. I like Sean. I think she's going to do well. I hope she does well because it would be bad because we picked Xavier and Xavier's doing really well in Big Brother. And so if Sean goes, I'll be like, damn it, I suck at Survivor. So I mean, we think, and he actually looks like he's going to win. I'm actually looking at it right now because I think I know who I'm going to go with, but I'm just doing a quick recap of two people because I got it down to two people, and I'll even tell you, I don't mind saying, it's Sydney and Xander. But I want to see, I'm looking right now because again, Sydney is a law student, which, obviously means she's very smart. Clearly she knows, her way around the book, so she's going to be able to do the mental comp. Seems like she's in good shape. Xander, from what I'm looking at right here, he's 21 years old. I'm trying to see what he does for a living, if it says it on here. Bar hops.
He's a bar hopper.
No, he's not. No, I'm just kidding. I know.
I was like, oh, okay. I think I know.
I meant like bar hop as in like he's 21 years old. He's hitting the bars and stuff. So
he's an app developer.
Tech.
That's what it says here. He's an app developer.
That's a
Oh God, this is a tough one for me. I'm
going to count down from 5. Just you go with what your heart is telling you, what your gut is telling you. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sydney.
All right. Boom.
And I'm telling you why Sydney. I'm just looking at her picture, her cast photo, and it just looks like winner of Survivor 41.
Okay.
But I will say this: I'm hedging my bets. I can't do it. I'm picking Sydney.
No, you're not allowed to hedge your bets.
Yes,
you know what?
Yes,
I actually, I don't know. I'm having a really tough time. Danny, Deshaun, Erica, Heather, Nasir, Sydney, Brad, Jenny. I don't know. It's gonna be any
how
of them.
How about Evie or Evie? I mean,
Yeah.
she's another one, silent creeping around. Even Jeannie could go really far. I just don't know how she's going to be in competitions.
Jeannie's not going to go far.
Nobody's going to go get. She's not going to say a word. She's just going to be like water. She's just going to kind of go.
I think Erica could do well. I like David, but you made a good point about David is that this season, David, he kind of corrected Jeff about like the exact percentages.
Yeah, dude,
which we didn't even get into this twist tonight because there was a lot to unfold. The shot in the dark twist. We'll get into that next week. But yeah, so I'm going with Sean. D, you're going with Sydney. And next week we will bring you guys the Exile of the Week and the Idol of the Week. And absolutely, that should wrap us up.
Absolutely. Guys, we appreciate you joining us here on the Winner's Circle. We will see you next week.